Last summer, a little over 10 months ago, I had a sit-down talk with my father-in-law. And my father-in-law confessed to me that he was scared. Now, he was scared because he was due to retire at the end of this year, so almost about 18 months later. And it's been playing on his mind because ever since my father left middle school, he joined the mandatory or the compulsory military service in Korea. And back when he did his military service, it was 3 years. From the moment he left military service, he started working. Now, for the most part of my father-in-law's life, he's worked in construction. And for the last 10 years, he's been fitting bathrooms. So he's never known a time where suddenly he is in complete control of his calendar. And it's completely scared him. Now, since I started this YouTube channel and started writing about time management and productivity, I've often received emails and messages about retirement. Like, what do I need to do? How am I going to organize my time? What am I going to do every day? And because I was never really close to retirement back then, it made me think, yeah, surely you can come up with something. I was basically not necessarily dismissive of it, but I didn't see it as a problem. But when my father-in-law talked to me about it, I realized, actually, this is quite a challenging time for somebody's life. Because if you think about it, for the most part of our lives, from the moment we started school, we have had our agenda controlled for us. You know, when we're at school, it's controlled by our lessons. We have to be in class by a certain time. We have to be at school by a certain time, and school finishes at this time. And then when we go to university, we're controlled by the times of our lectures and seminars and whatever we do at university. And then, of course, we join the workforce. And once again, it's all dominated by our calendars. When you retire, it's almost like that scene from a country and western movie where you see the tumbleweed going across. It's like that on your calendar. It's suddenly empty. What do you do now? So last year I sat down and started researching about retirement, and I was just blown away. There is so much great advice out there on retirement from people who have retired. But I realized there's 3 things that it actually boils down to. There are 3 things that you need to make sure you have built into your days and weeks when you retire. And today I'm going to reveal those 3 things to you. The first area is your mental area. Now, we're not talking about mental health here. We're talking about maintaining your mental abilities to stay sharp and cognitive. Now, all you really need to do is decide what would you like to learn? What would you like to read? Now, there's a multiple of things you can do to keep your mental capacities sharp. One of which is to take lessons, perhaps learn a foreign language, or maybe start researching history. Some people have gone back to university and done a law degree, or done English literature, or the history of art. There are tons of things you can do. And now we don't necessarily have to go to university. You can use something like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and ask them to build you a learning formula for learning a particular subject. All you need to do is figure out when are you going to do it. More on that a little bit later. But that's really what it is. It's about this continuous learning cycle. Just because you're retired doesn't mean that you give up. When you retire, it now gives you the time to be able to study the things that you've always wanted to study. I've always wanted to learn how to grow bonsai trees. Now, I have a couple of bonsai trees, but I'm not very good at creating the styling. And I've thought, well, when I retire, one of the things I'm going to do is I am going to learn properly from the masters across the sea in Japan how to grow really good bonsai trees. I'm actually getting quite excited about that. Right now, I don't have the time, but when I retire, I will have the time to be able to grow and take care of bonsai trees. So the real question is, from a mental perspective, what would you like to learn when you retire? Give it some thought, because if you can plan ahead from the day that you retire, you can be preparing yourself to start learning whatever subject it is that you want to learn. Now to the second one. The second one is physical. You need to maintain your muscle mass. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to go on a diet, you have to start running ultra marathons or anything like that. But the key part of this is that you retain your muscle mass. Now, the problem that most people are facing, and one of the reasons why we have such an increase in cardiovascular diseases, lifestyle diseases as they're often called, things like diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, all these sort of things, it can actually be relieved without going on to expensive medication. I believe in some countries, insulin, for example, which is required for diabetes, is very expensive. But actually, if you were to focus in on doing some resistance exercises every day, you would alleviate many of the symptoms of diabetes. Gout, and something like a 17th century disease, is making a comeback, largely because of our lifestyles today and the stuff that we're eating. So the physical actually comes to maintaining some kind of physical training program. It does not have to be elite. It can be just saying, right, every morning, once I finish my morning routines, I'm going to go out for a hilly walk. Hilly walks are great because they really do help to maintain your leg strength. Core exercises, doing a few planks. If you can't do the full plank, you can actually start, doing with your knees down on the floor, but gradually build it up. Maintaining your physical strength will help to prevent you from those accidental falls, which, according to most medical data, is the main underlying cause of death once we retire. With fall creates a problem because we often break our hips, we break a leg, we might break a shoulder, and then we're incapacitated for 6 months to a year. That is what really damages your health. But from the day you retire, if you set yourself up to do a physical training program, which includes a little bit of cardiovascular, walking up hills, for example, and a little bit of resistance training, you are going to be fine. You're going to maintain the balance muscles, which is the core muscles and your upper leg strength and your lower strength and ankles. That will really help to protect your health as you go through this wonderful, exciting new chapter in your life. And before we move on, I have something special to tell you. If you are worried about your impending retirement, or you've just started in retirement and you just don't know where to go, what you should be doing, then I have put together a brand new program to help you. It's designed really for my father-in-law because he asked me so many questions about what he can and cannot do, what he should be doing, etc. And I thought, right, I'm going to build a course for him. Well, I did, and I've done it, and now I realize that this course can help so many people overcome that fear of going into retirement. So, the course is called Building the Perfect Retirement. You can take a look at it now. The curriculum, the full course details can be found in the show notes below. I urge you to take a look. It will alleviate a lot of the fears, and it's going to give you the motivation and the inspiration to build the perfect retirement. And now, on to the third and final area that you should be looking at. When we're in the workplace, there's an element of camaraderie between our colleagues, our teammates. My father-in-law, for example, working on a construction site, had wonderful relationships. They all had lunch together, they had tea breaks together, or whatever they do in Korea. It's not the British tea break, but it is a kind of tea break. They did it all together. There was that social aspect. And this third and final area or pillar of a solid, perfect retirement is social. The first one is mental, the second one is physical, and the third and final one is social. You're going to lose a great big chunk of your social life. You may have hated your work, but you still had an element of camaraderie, meeting people, meeting your colleagues every day, talking to your colleagues every day. Suddenly that's gone. So one of the things that you want to be doing when you retire is building new relationships. That could mean joining a exercise club. I saw when I was researching this, so many people were joining exercise classes that were done at the local community center. There were people joining running clubs. You can actually join reading clubs, book clubs. There are so many opportunities today. One of the great things in my town called Gangneung in South Korea is the local government encourages the retired people to join together in groups to tidy and clean the city. They get a free meal and they get free coffee and they get other things that the government will give them for free. But it also helps the city, it helps the community, but it brings everyone together. Just as I was walking Louis earlier this morning, there was about 30, 40 people all cleaning up around the beach area. Just an amazing sight. And the camaraderie between everyone was just fantastic. So your social life is also going to be a big part of your retirement, building social connections. That can be done through the community, it can be done through, you may even wish, and some people have done this, is started a podcast. You can do all sorts of things in your retirement because now that excuse, I don't have time, has gone. So the three things. There's the mental, that's about learning something, whatever it is you want to learn, but make sure whatever it is you're excited about learning. There's the physical, make sure you've got some physical training program that is on resistance training, that's lifting weight, that comes to your almost every day. And finally, the social aspect, which is another critical thing because there will be a void with you no longer mixing with your colleagues. That's it. Those three areas that will help you to build a perfect retirement. And there you go. Thank you so much for watching this episode. There's going to be more videos on retirement coming over the next few months because it's a subject that I've just become completely fascinated with. And also with me being in my 50s, it is something that I am aware of that may come into my life in the next few years. Thanks for watching this video and see you in another episode.